Do you know the difference between deduction and inference? These two reasoning skills are tested heavily on the LNAT, and confusing them will quietly cost you marks in Section A. Here is the direct answer. Deduction is reasoning where a conclusion follows logically and necessarily from given premises. It moves from general rules down to a specific, certain conclusion. For example, if all humans are mortal and Socrates is human, then Socrates must be mortal. That demonstrates a strict, undeniable logical relationship between the premises and the conclusion. There is no room for doubt. Inference, on the other hand, involves drawing a conclusion based on evidence and reasoning. It usually moves the other way, from specific observations towards broader generalizations or probabilities. For example, if a student is yawning and rubbing their eyes during a lecture, you might infer they are tired. It is a likely conclusion, but it is not an absolute certainty the way a deduction is. To differentiate them, remember the rule. Deduction relies on strict logical relationships and moves from general to specific. Inference is based on evidence and reasoning. Essentially, an educated guess, moving from specific to general. When tackling these questions on the LNAT, read the question carefully first. You must work out whether it is asking for a strict, necessary deduction or for a reasonable, probable inference. Identify the keywords in both the question and the passage. Words like necessarily, must be true, and logically follows point to deduction. Words like suggests, most likely, and probably point to an inference question. For deduction questions, be very mindful of extreme answer choices and absolutes. Words like all, no, some, and always are critical, because they determine whether the strict logical relationship actually holds. For inference questions, look for patterns and relationships between ideas in the passage. Focus on the specific details that provide genuine evidence for the most probable conclusion rather than the merely possible one. Use the process of elimination to remove incorrect answers. Be cautious of your own assumptions and make sure every conclusion you accept is grounded entirely in the information provided within the passage. Take notes or mentally underline the important information as you read, and reread the relevant lines if you are unsure. Careful reference back to the text is what separates a safe answer from a risky guess. If you are genuinely stuck, do not waste time. Manage your clock effectively by allocating a set amount of time to each question and move on the moment a question starts eating into your pacing. Remember, LNAT questions might not always use the exact words deduction or inference. Read the prompt carefully to grasp the true intention of the examiner and what type of reasoning they are actually testing. Watch out for the classic deduction format too. If all apples are fruits and some fruits are green, it does not necessarily follow that any apples are green. Strict logic demands you resist that tempting leap. Mastering these reasoning skills takes time and repetition. The best way to improve is by testing yourself against realistic LNAT passages and genuinely challenging multiple choice questions. Again and again. Boost your confidence today with our free full-length LNAT practice test. It provides exactly the kind of rigorous, calibrated reasoning practice you need to excel on exam day at LawMint.uk. You also unlock the full series of 200 full-length tests featuring 8,400 multiple choice questions, each with a detailed explanation mapping the logic from the text to the answer. Don't leave your law school application to chance. Head over to lawmint.uk to access 200 full-length tests with 8,400 multiple choice questions. And don't forget to subscribe to @LNAT Prep on YouTube for more.